Welcome back. Sarah here. If you're curious about tarot but are skeptical or disconnected from the spiritual idea of it, or if you're reading tarot for others but don't know how to explain it from a secular or skeptical point of view, this video might give some clarity that you're looking for. Many people associate tarot and divination with being spiritual, and so a common question is, if I'm atheist or agnostic, can I still do tarot? If I don't really have any spiritual beliefs or experiences, can I still do tarot? As a secular, skeptical, atheist or agnostic, science-seeking tarot enthusiast, I'm here to tell you, yes, it is all possible and more. First, I'll explain and clarify some terms like skeptical and secular and atheist. What exactly do these mean? Then explain tarot from a secular point of view as someone without any spiritual experiences or beliefs. Then lastly, I'll share how I read for other people at markets and explain to them how I do tarot from a secular point of view, especially in a way that is not ragging on other tarot readers, spiritual or not. Also, this tarot reading sign is by Jamie Sawyer. Isn't it so cute? And it lights up too. So green, green, green. There we go. Okay, let's start with some dictionary definitions to make sure that we're all starting from the same page here. First, secular. From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, secular means of or relating to the physical world and not the spiritual world, or not overtly or specifically religious. Next, the word skeptical. From the Cambridge Dictionary, skeptical means doubting something that is true or useful. For example, many experts remain skeptical about those claims. And then atheist, a person who does not believe in the existence of God or any gods. And in the same vein, agnostic, a person who holds the view that any ultimate reality is unknown and probably unknowable, or broadly, one who is not committed to believing in either the existence or the non-existence of God or any gods. Atheist and agnostic have the same prefix of a, which means without. Atheist is without God or not believing in a God. Agnostic is without knowing. I feel sometimes we subconsciously use the word believes in a dismissive way, like, oh, he believes that the sky is orange. But the thing is, we are not experiencing the same experiences and in the same perspectives as other people are. People who experience, let's say, summer in June, July, August, that is one experience. But for other people, their experience is that summer is December, January, February. I hope that's right. So it doesn't mean that either is wrong. These are our beliefs because these are the experiences that we have gone through and the ways that we make sense of these experiences. Even though you might feel real high and mighty about how right you are about there not being a God, the fact is we actually don't know what science may discover in like 100 or 1,000 years. You know, a lot of the things that we thought were magical like 100 or 1,000 years ago, we can prove with science now. But there are still so many things that I don't know, maybe our science is wrong, or maybe our science just hasn't reached that point yet. So this is a tangent, and this is only the first part of the video, but I want to convey that it is important to be respectful and understanding of everyone's belief systems and approach these beliefs with curiosity. At the end of the day, we are all trying to make sense of the world around us. So our belief systems and using tools like tarot and other things, these are ways to help us make sense of all the things around us. Now, how does all this relate to tarot? Someone could be religious or spiritual, but still use tarot in a secular or skeptical manner. To be skeptical of the tarot is basically like to take it with a grain of salt. Maybe there is someone else like speaking to me through the cards. Maybe it's all just bunk, who knows? It's kind of like how you might I don't know, kiss your good luck charm for a good luck something before a test. You don't know if it'll work, but maybe it will. That's the essence of being skeptical. Now, all that being said, what exactly is tarot? A common beginner question is, do I need to be psychic or have any spiritual beliefs or experiences to be able to read the cards? Where are the answers in the tarot coming from? Who exactly is talking to me through the cards? Some people might see a tarot deck like they see the Bible or any other religious text where it's like a god or a deity channeled humans this information and humans conveyed it into this thing. The secular way of seeing it is just that this is art on cards. I liken it to Shakespeare's work. So Shakespeare was a bard who created these stories from his own brain, but also probably influenced by whatever was going on around him and before him at the time. He created works like Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet and Macbeth. Over the years, people have created adaptations and retellings of these stories. And with each adaptation or retelling, every director or creator or writer may choose different elements to keep the same or change up. In the same way, there are a few tarot decks that were created years and years ago, and then over the years, people have adapted them and recreated them and expanded on them in their own ways. So every tarot deck will have the same structure, 70 cards, including 22 major arcana, and the rest are minor arcana, 4 suits of the minor arcana, 4 card cards in each suit, ace through 10 of each suit, and so on and so forth. But every deck creator will interpret the tarot differently. Some will stay more faithful to the original classic decks, and some will deviate from them a lot. A lot of people will adapt from the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot when they're creating their own tarot deck. For example, the Three of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery is 3 swords stabbed into this heart, and there's some clouds and rain in the background. Then this is the Queer Tarot, which is also pretty close to the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. It also has 3 swords stabbed into a heart with rain and clouds in the background. But they have added these pink stars in the back to add some more glamour. Now from the Spacious Tarot, 3 swords still stabbed into something, but not a heart. These swords are stabbed into the ice, and there's some jagged lines, and there's like a sunset or sunrise on the horizon. So it looks somewhat similar, but it's still pretty different. And the Three of Blades from the Tarot for the Great Outdoors looks really, really different. Swords is renamed to Blades, and this deck goes into the numerology more. So with 3 meaning expansion or creating, you're learning something new, and learning new things, expanding our minds and our abilities could be a neutral thing, not necessarily negative or gloomy like it might look like in the original Rider-Waite-Smith Three of Swords. Okay, now how do people use these cards? What do they actually do with these cards? What exactly are tarot readings? The definition of reading is the act of reading. Thanks, Merriam-Webster. A reading could be a particular interpretation of something. The verb to read means to perceive or take in the sense of, to study the movements of with mental formulation of the communication expressed. So basically, we're looking at words on a page and we're making meaning of interpreting these words. Or if it's not words, then it's vibes or literally anything else you are able to read. Like reading the vibes of a room, reading the room, or reading the situation, seeing the details that are there, piecing them together in your mind, deciding what to do, what not to do, if you should act and intervene in the situation, or if you should step away and forget like it never happened. So a tarot reading or a divination reading can be just that. You're pulling cards and you're thinking, give me a reading on the situation. Give me an interpretation of the situation. Tell me some details to notice about the situation. Give me some advice on how to move forward in the situation. So physically, I'm shuffling the deck. I might have a specific question or a topic in mind that I want some more insight on, or maybe no thoughts, head empty. Just pull some cards and see what happens, see what comes up. Then I'm laying some cards out on the table, and then I'm piecing together all of these details. Details about my situation, the standard meanings of these tarot cards, what I visually see in these tarot cards, symbols or colors or similarities and contrasts between each of the cards on the table, how they apply or don't apply to my situation, what they make me think of. I'm looking at these cards and I'm like, ah, yes, I totally see and understand what this is telling me. And this is where secular people might struggle the most with the tarot, because then the question is, well, how exactly does tarot work? How does it give accurate answers? It can't possibly be accurate all of the time. And how can you read tarot for other people if you're not actually telling the future or actually connected to spirit guides or deities or anyone of a higher consciousness? Okay, let's break it down. To you, what would an accurate tarot reading look like, or a reading that actually works? How do you make meaning of it? And are you getting what you hope to get out of it? Some people feel confident in making predictions with the cards, like for example, will I get the job? Two of Pentacles. But some other people aren't comfortable with predictions, so we might ask other questions like, what should I consider when applying for this job? Many sources will associate the word divination with foreseeing or foretelling the future. And many secular or atheist readers will say, well, I don't predict the future. But consider this. We are always predicting the future whether or not we are aware of it. We're always speculating on what might happen based on the patterns that we're noticing of our current events and our past events and experiences. So the way that I see it now is divination is the art of looking for insight, which is not currently known. Could be, yeah, I don't know how next weekend is going to go, how my energy level is going to be, what I should focus on, how to bring my best self to that really major event, but also unknown things like, why am I feeling torn up about this decision that I already made? Or why am I feeling conflicted about this friendship that I wish I was feeling better about? And so sometimes you might turn over a card that feels really clear and super applicable to your situation, but other times you might pull a card or many cards that feel kind of cryptic, and you're not sure what to make of them. So to the question, does tarot work? My answer would be, it works for me. It helps me get insight into things that I was not really conscious of or aware of before. Now, the other question that secular people will often ask too is, how can you read for others? Because again, we don't have any spiritual guides or higher beings or mysterious forces that are giving us any of these answers. So how can you read for other people and also expect it to work or be accurate? I think therapy is similar, where some people want to go to therapy because they want the therapist or other person to give them the answers on what they should be doing in life. But in reality, therapists teach you processing skills. They usually guide you into processing your own situation better so that outside of the sessions, you're able to process your experiences and hopefully react to them differently in a way that is more empowering for you. So a tarot reading doesn't have to be about getting the right direct answers all the time. It can also be a way for the querent to process whatever they're going through and to talk it out with someone. And that act of consulting, whether with another person or with a deck of inanimate cards, can already be helpful to that person's processing process. But here's a couple psychology terms you might find interesting. The Barnum effect, which is the phenomenon that occurs when people believe that personality descriptions apply specifically to them more so than other people, even though these descriptions are filled with generic information that could apply to anybody. So, those generic readings where someone is like, I'm getting a message. This message is for someone who is breathing and sitting down right now. Oh my God, that's so me right now. Another term is confirmation bias. We tend to look for or interpret or concretize, solidify information that is consistent with what we already believe. It's an unintentional bias, but definitely a bias that we can try to be more aware of in our lives and in our interpretations as well. You're thinking about someone and you don't know if you should reach out to that someone or not. And you should. That person is probably thinking about you too. Oh my God, how do they know? And the thing with confirmation bias too is we tend to not confirm or want to believe in statements that are not nice or not positive. If the reading or the message that I got was, you're being a piece of shit and you need to stop being mean to other people who don't deserve it, I don't know if people would accept that or claim that reading as eagerly as they want to claim positive readings. But anyway, back to the topic of secular or atheist tarot readers reading for other people. I think it is important to be aware of these statements and these biases. Instead of seeing them as stopping points or reasons to not do readings for other people, use it as a jumping off point. Interpret what you see in the cards or in the guidebook, and then when the other querent is like, oh my gosh, that feels so me, you can ask more. You can have a conversation about it. Which part of this card or this description stands out to you? And then you can ask more questions or pull more cards to further that conversation and then explore that situation more in depth. So in that way, does tarot work? I mean, for me, I'm not relying on the tarot to give me direct actual answers. I'm relying on the tarot to help give me stepping stones, to help me get unblocked from a current way of thinking. I could pull any of these cards and make meaning of it and apply it to my situation. So for example, what in my romantic relationship do I need to consider right now? The King of Swords. Consider in what ways I'm trying to manage the other person's thoughts or actions or feelings too much. Two of Pentacles, I need to consider the balance of work that I have versus my partner has. Page of Cups, consider how much play and whimsy I've been allowing in my relationship recently, or what is a fun date activity? So in this way, I don't see this card as giving me an objectively super accurate true answer, but more here's something to consider. And so if I was doing this reading for someone else, I would do the same thing. Consider for your relationship. Let some big conversations or major things be on hold for a little bit. There's no pressure to solve everything and have everything be super comfortable and solved all the time. Or Queen of Cups. Be sure that at the end of the day, you are holding each other. No matter what conflicts or whatever you're going through, or good or bad, make sure that you have each other's hearts. So that to me is the art of tarot reading. Beyond learning the standard meanings of the tarot, it's really about learning how to see different details in the cards and how to apply them to the querent situation and our own philosophy of human life. And that's what makes every single tarot reader different, secular or spiritual. So in that way, even if you don't have spiritual beliefs or psychic abilities like other people, you and your experiences still bring a unique take to the tarot. The way that you interpret the cards, the philosophy that you have on human life, the way that you're growing yourself as a human, you bring all of that to the cards and how you apply these card meanings and interpretations to other people's situations. And lastly, I'll share my flow at markets, how I explain all this hullabaloo of information at a market. Real quick, I'll mention that I now just do tarot readings based on tips instead of paying upfront with a standard amount of time. So my experience may differ from everybody else's experience. Of course, take these as just ideas rather than a specific instruction manual for yourself. So the querent sits down, they're like, hi, I want a tarot reading. So I'll ask first, have you gotten your cards read before? If they say yes, whether from other people or they have their own deck, I'll be like, oh, great. So you already know the flow of tarot, how there's just a question and answer kind of format. And if they say no, I'll say, great, I love being people's first times. Then I'll show the decks that I have available to read. Some people might only have one deck available. I like to have multiple because I'm a deck slut. I'm a fiend for decks, and I love sharing with people the different variety of tarot decks out there. So I'll wave over all the decks available, and I'll say, pick a deck. They're all generally the same, just pick a deck whose art speaks to you, intrigues you, makes you feel curious. And then I start shuffling that deck, and I'll ask them, all right, what question or topic do you have in mind? And I tell them that for me, I like to have context doing my readings. I'd rather know what's going on in their mind and what's relevant to them instead of them sitting there in silence and me guessing at what's gonna happen and they're sitting there like, this bitch is super wrong. I'd rather know. I need to know what's going on. I don't want you to waste your time with me being wrong. In the past, I would have just drawn cards right there, but now I actually see this more as a conversational opportunity. I just like psychology and human experiences. I think it is really fascinating to learn about what other people's perspectives are and how they make sense of their own lives. So they'll share a bit. And then I'll actually ask more questions. For example, when people are asking about relationships or dating, I almost always ask what other supports or people do they have in their lives. My philosophy is that in addition to finding a romantic relationship, it's also important to build up your own sense of self and your social skills, honestly, so that you also have friends, so that you're not putting all of your social eggs in one basket of a romantic relationship. And I'm not asking because I'm implying that they should have other friends or people in their lives. I'm asking because I'm curious what else in their lives has led to this point. Like, people have different circumstances and interests and things going on in their lives that lead to them wanting a relationship now. And asking about friends or family or other interests and things is a way for me to get to know them without asking directly about the relationship question as well. And also, as we're talking about their question or their situation, I might also explain my reading style if I feel like it's needed or if they ask. I think it's important to explain yourself in a way that does not rag on other tarot readers. People who have read tarot and done divination have been persecuted. It has been stigmatized for a long time, and a lot of the people bearing the brunt of that stigma are usually people of color. Like, tarot reading and divination associations isn't just older white ladies. Romani people were associated with being fortune tellers and being diviners. A lot of Asians in Asia have spiritual beliefs as well. So it would be pretty Eurocentric and colonialist to be like,
oh, like, I'm not like those other tarot readers. I'm a logical person.
When we're here, we are kind of representing and showing solidarity with other tarot readers in general. And also, you don't know what the other person across from you believes. So the way I explain my reading style is I have had no spiritual experiences that have led me to have spiritual beliefs. I think that that's the most neutral way that I can explain that I'm secular, I'm atheist. And it also leaves room for the other people to chime in with like, oh yeah, me neither, I just haven't had spiritual experiences. Or to say the opposite, like, oh, that's different for me. Like, when I do readings, I get really warm inside or something, or some other supernatural phenomenon or experience that they've had. And for me, I see that as a way to connect over the wondrous experiences of being human. It's arrogant or presumptuous of me to assume that I can speak for every single other person. When, yeah, honestly, I think that there are supernatural things that I can't quite explain away. And so, you know what? I'll let the other person explain to me what their reality is and how they see it. And another important thing, fellow secular or psychological readers, show, don't tell. I used to do this a lot in my first years of reading tarot for other people. I would explain in so many words how I read psychologically and how I read secularly, and I don't believe this and I don't believe that. But honestly, show how you read through the reading itself. You don't need to have a 10-minute long preamble about how you're going to read. Just explain briefly. I'm not claiming to be in touch with any spirit guides. What I see is just based off of my own experiences and my own love of psychology. And then just read the cards as you see them. You don't need to explain how you're going to read them and how you're so different from other tarot readers. Just show how you're different by reading the cards and doing the techniques. And right before I start reading and interpreting and talking at the querent, I'll first ask them, what's something that jumps out to you in the card? Doesn't have to be anything deep or super literary. I just want to know what draws your eye. For example, in this spread of 3 cards, someone might notice the black figure in the middle. Someone might notice the religious imagery of the angel and the coffins in the 3rd card. Someone might notice the stern or neutral expression of the person in the 1st card. Having the querent be the starting point helps me start from there too. So I'll echo what they're noticing. Like, oh yeah, the person does have a neutral expression. Then we can compare it to the 3rd expression, which is also neutral. But then the person in the middle doesn't have any expression, right? And talking out loud like that helps me start stringing together the details and connecting all these things. I'll link some other YouTube content creators and some other resources in the description if you're curious about exploring more like-minded people in this space. The Sass Witches community, both on Reddit and on Discord, has been hugely helpful ever since I joined in 2021. Sass stands for skeptical, atheist, or agnostic, science seeking. So literally the kind of people I was looking for when I was first starting out and feeling so disconnected from other people talking about their spiritual experiences. One of my motivations for making a channel way back when was to talk more about secular tarot, because besides not seeing as many Asians on TarotTube, I also didn't see as much talk about secular or skeptical tarot. And one more thing before I close out here, to become a better tarot reader, I say to interact with a bunch of resources and information and people who are spiritual, not just secular or skeptical. The way that they connect the cards could be totally new to you. The way that they string cards together, the way that they interact with querents, those are also parts of being a tarot reader and reading for other people, beyond just having spiritual beliefs or not. So that's my thoughts on secular, skeptical, atheist, or agnostic, science-seeking tarot. If you have any other specific questions or requests or ideas for activities or something related to secular or skeptical tarot, I'd love to know as well. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye!